Welcome to the Agent Upgrade Podcast with your hosts Jasmine Alan and Alan Corey, where we learn the strategies of top producing real estate agents so you have the tools to upgrade your own real estate career.
All right, this is another great episode of Agent Upgrade. We've got Chip Ivie, and we learned so much from him. Specifically, he's been in the business for over 25 years, and so he's seen the ups and the down market of real estate. I think it's great where we learn sort of, how to steady the tide, because there are going to be moments when no one's buying and selling real estate, and there's going to be moments where it's completely hectic and crazy. So Chip's got a really level-headed attitude, and he teaches, how to maintain his business in ups and downs. So I think this is something that anyone can learn from, but especially if you're a new agent and you're wondering if this business is sustainable or just a temporary business, Chip's going to teach you, what it takes to turn this into a 25-year career or longer.
Yeah, I think that he also has some really great things that he does. He's a very proper Southern gentleman. He's got some etiquette lessons that he can give us on communication, and then he throws some really great parties for his clients. So we're going to dig into that and learn a little bit about how to stay in touch with our database after you have had clients for a decade or two. So super excited about this episode.
And we touch upon having multiple streams of income as an agent, which I love. That is my very strong feelings on that. That really makes a successful agent. So pay attention to that part. And I think there's some takeaway from that, and really understand that longevity comes in many different ways at being a real estate agent, and also fighting or embracing technology. He talks a lot about how real estate was different 25, 30 years ago. So it's really interesting to see how far the career of a real estate agent changes.
Yeah. How do you stay in it even when the tools are changing? It's still a people business. Yeah.
All right, so here it is.
So welcome, everyone. Today we have an amazing real estate agent on the podcast with us, Chip Ivie, who works with Compass here in Atlanta. Welcome, and please introduce yourselves to us.
Thanks, Jasmine and Alan. Yes, I'm Chip Ivie. I'm a real estate agent with Compass. I've been selling in the in-town Atlanta area since 1994. And right now, my position, I guess, I'm on a small 3-person team, and I lead the buyer activity. I'm the buyer's agent for our 3-person team. Glad to be here with you.
Wow, 1994. That's you've got some longevity in this business. Congrats to you.
Yeah, I always look to real estate agents' license number, and I'm like, I've done this longer or not as long, and it's always an indicator of how long someone's been in the business to look at that. My license number starts with a 1.
Yeah,
and so many today, everybody's in the 3s. So I'm an old timer.
That's usually a dead giveaway. If it starts with a 1, it's like, all right, this guy's been around the block for a second.
Exactly.
So that's awesome.
Exactly.
So what would you say are some of the biggest differences 30 years in the business from when you started?
Oh, without a doubt, technology. I remember the day when you were showing property, you really could only physically show a couple of listings at a time, because you had to go to the listing broker's office to pick up the key, show the house, return the key to the listing broker so the next showing could occur. So, I mean, literally, and if it was listed outside the perimeter, you were going back and forth. It was really an antiquated system. And not to mention the MLS. The MLS was printed in one bound book each month. Well, as you know, as soon as it's printed, it's obsolete. You call to make appointments, and those listings were under contract or not available. So without a doubt, technology has changed more than anything.
So the sort of fear for a lot of agents is always, hey, technology is going to take you out of your job. Technology is going to replace a real estate agent. Technology is the end of being a real estate broker. I from talking to other veteran agents, they said the same thing about when the fax machine was invented, or when the magazines instead of the book, or internet listings online on the internet were going to replace a broker. Obviously, that hasn't happened yet. Some things it might have helped the broker, but do you see a day or concerns? Are you worried about technology kind of replacing real estate agents?
No, I don't. I think it certainly affects us. But I think at the end, people enjoy doing business with people. And being old school, I'm not as tech savvy as many of the new agents are coming in today. And I've embraced that. I try to learn what I can, but I don't worry about it. In the end, it's about relationships. And one of the things that has sustained me through the years is just keeping in touch with clients by telephone, written note, text, have a party or a get together from time to time. So, no, it doesn't worry me. It's going to be changing. I want to be aware of what's going on, and I want to embrace technology and learn as much as I can, but I'm not worried about it.
So I feel like, Chip, you are one of those people that could hold etiquette lessons, on good old Southern charm on how to maintain relationships. I feel like you could just do a whole seminar on just that, because you're the most proper gentleman ever.
Oh, well, that's nice. Thank you. I try to treat people like I want to be treated. And I think maybe that's one thing that helps me differentiate myself is just communication, because it's amazing in today's market how some agents, their lack of communication is, can be really frustrating when you're either trying to show a property, submit a contract, or have questions, and it's hard to get people to pick up the phone.
So do you have a cut and dry rule on how often you contact clients, and does it differ if they're before they buy or after they buy, and staying in touch?
Yeah. I know what the right answer is, and that is yes, I have a system that but no, I really don't. I do like to follow up with clients after a closing to make sure the house is working, they're unpacked, they're enjoying their new home. At that time, that's when they need references for handymen, plumbers, electricians, and I like to be a resource for that. Honestly, when I kind of have, how our business ebbs and flows, and when it's a little slower, that's the time to pick up the phone and say, hey, I was just thinking about you. How have you been? It's been 6 months, or I can't believe it's been. I do call people on their yearly anniversary for sure, because, that's a time to celebrate. I call on birthdays. I tend to be more impulsive, and I'm better reaching out with a phone call or a text than I'm not as good writing notes as Jasmine is. I mean, Jasmine and her team are great about writing notes, and that's not as a big a part of my plan, but I certainly appreciate it. But I just reach out to people, let them know I'm thinking about them, and ask, can I help them with anything? And then I always end with, hey, would you keep me in mind if you know of somebody who wants to buy or sell real estate? Because referrals are how I make my business, and people get that.
I love it. I think that I knew that I had made it in the business when I got an invite to your white party. That's when I knew. I was like, okay, I'm on Chip's radar. I got invited to the white party. Yeah. And I feel like that is the most amazing thing that you do, but because it's so consistent and it's so fun, and you get your invite every year, and you got to think of the white dress that you're going to wear. And it's so much fun. So, do you get a lot of clients just kind of coming year after year, or how did you come up with this idea? Because it's really sticky. You're the only one who does it around here.
Yeah. Well, for those of you that don't know, I do host a yearly white party, and white party, the meaning behind it is, as a Southerner, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. People might say there's a Southern thing that you don't wear white after Labor Day. So the third Saturday in August, we have a white party, and it's our final opportunity to wear white. So everybody wears white T-shirts, pants, dresses, whatever, and it's really just a fun time to come together and have fun. We have a DJ, a bartender, and I live in a loft, and it's it's crowded, and it's a nice mix of people. it's certainly a good touch for clients. And yes, they do. Many of them come back year after year, but it's also a way to say thank you to my vendors. It's a way to embrace my neighbors, friends, prospects. I'm really just limited now. I've learned the maximum number of people that I can have before it becomes kind of crazy. But it's something to look forward to. I of course, with the pandemic, we did not do it last year, and I'm still waiting to see if it's safe to have a larger party this summer. But if not, it will reappear in the future.
A couple of points on that. I threw a few parties for my clients as well, and I did it because I did find it difficult for me personally to kind of cold call clients, and because I part of me felt like I was bothering them, and saying, hey, I know it's been 18 months since you bought a house and you probably have no need, but I wanted to stay in touch. But once I had a party booked, I found it so easy to reach out because I'm like, hey, I'm not here to bother you. I'm here to invite you to a party, right? And even if they didn't come, it allowed me at least, I'd mail them something about the party. I'd follow up with a call about the party. And I got 2 or 3 touch points that way. And I overcame my own, it's probably in my own personal headspace, but hey, I'm bothering my client. Don't reach out to them. Past clients or whatnot. And then when I had a party, all of a sudden I felt energized and like, hey, well, here I am. Guess what, guys? I'm doing this. And the ones that came out were great because you get so close and personal with them. This is a huge purchase. It's going to affect their lifestyle, this new home. And then you're with them every day. And then, boom, you don't ever see them again. And so this was great to just see the kids grow up when you check in every single year. You sort of find the same way?
I do. And I think I share your concern about I don't want to reach out and be a bother to someone. But I think that's where you and I can really work on things, Alan, because I don't think that's the case. Now, it's one thing if we're calling them every week, but if we're calling them every quarter or every 6 months to check in and say hello, who wouldn't appreciate that phone call from someone that was so helpful in helping them buy or sell real estate? I just think of my own personal interaction. When someone calls me, I'm delighted to hear from them. And you're right. We want to be respectful of other people's time, but I think what you and I are trying to accomplish is just to stay in touch and be a resource and ask for referrals. And I think that's terrific. Yeah.
And this touch point it's a very common sort of method that's every real estate agent is taught at some point. And I first learned it in Gary Keller's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, which is a great book. It's really a blueprint on how to be a successful real estate agent. And I believe their math was 33 touches with a client, past and present, which really equates to every 2 weeks you should be reaching out to them in some capacity. And then I recently read Sold by David Green, which is a great book. He's a co-host of the Bigger Pockets podcast and also a Keller Williams agent. And he sort of does the same thing that 33, but the way he does it, it's like, hey, 10 of those could be likes on a social media post. It could be, a Facebook comment. It's not picking up the phone and calling them if you feel like you're bothering them. It's really just, hey, I'm involved in your life, and hey, I'm still here. I'm not constantly trying to sell you something. No, I want to just be a friend and a relationship. And those for any agent who may be sort of frozen and honestly I was when I first started, and I still struggle with that a little. But those sort of tips really helped me.
Yeah.
Do either one of you find like that it's like I have a hesitation and like, maybe I'm on the mortgage side of things, so it might be a little bit different. I feel like in the real estate, like you guys kind of tend to have your clients as your friends on Facebook, right? Like I haven't quite gotten good at it, but the clients that I do have that are friends on Facebook, like those are clients that just come back over and over again because they see my kids grow up or whatnot. So do you make it a point, Chip, to like become friends or follow them on social media and stay in touch that way? Or does that just kind of happen organically?
Usually after we close. I usually don't initiate being a friend or follow them. I don't want to be creepy, or I don't want them to think I have an ulterior motive. So I may observe, but when they close, and then if I see an opportunity to add someone on Facebook, I will do it at that time. And I think, Alan, to your point, I think it's a great, easy touch just to, when they post something and it's funny or clever or like it or just make your comment to let them know you're thinking about them. But I usually wait until after we've closed to do that.
Yeah, I like that. And I feel like I pay attention to a lot of like social media feeds, and I feel like your social media is very, like, you don't do a whole lot of like, oh, we just closed. Like, these are like, I feel like your social media presence is very organic. Like, I feel like I have been your friend forever, and I really get you really well because it's so natural and it's so you're not trying to be like this gimmicky, hey, I'm an agent, look at me kind of thing.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's on purpose. I am not going to be the guy selling on Facebook. I think there's a time and place for that. Any kind of real estate posting I might make is more informational or humor, if there's something funny. It's just a different business plan. I don't post our listings and necessarily congratulate at every closing. It's just, I think sometimes we get numb to that because we see so many people at the closing table with the just sold sign. And, I know it's a happy time, and I think there's a time to celebrate, but that's not a part of my business plan.
One thing that I feel, Chip, that you have nailed down so beautifully is your newsletters. I look forward to your newsletter. I get flooded. Trust me, I'm friends with a gajillion realtors. I get a lot of newsletters. Yeah. But I look forward to your newsletters. They are so well put together. How do you guys get the information? Like, I'm always looking for like, oh my God, there is this charity that I can be a part of that's amazing. There is this new restaurant that just opened up 2 doors down from me. Like, it's not the normal, like, how do you guys source that information for your newsletters? Well, it's fantastic.
Really, that is my teammate's John Efron, his baby. And what we try to do is, it's not a hard sell. It's all about things you may not know about. And we've all received the newsletters where it talks about the festival at Piedmont Park, which is great. But we want to share something that is something unique that people might say, I had no idea there was this type of event or a food truck or something at the museum, or it could be a restaurant opening. We try to make it, people go, oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't know that was available. And then at the end, it's a soft sell. It's like where we do post, listings or just sold. And then we finish it with we're never too busy to talk business if you want to talk about buying or selling. But we try to make it a soft sell and more informational. And thank you for your comment, because I do get a lot of replies just saying, great content. And
great.
So
content.
We're always just looking for something kind of fun and unique to include in that newsletter.
Yeah. It's definitely not like, hey, watch out for your pipes freezing kind of a newsletter. We've all got one too many of those. Photos. Yeah, no, it's very unique.
Well, and if you're friend, and I'm friends with many people at the same brokerage firm, and I'll get 2 or 3 of their newsletters, and it's the same newsletter.
Yeah, exactly.
With their
content.
photo, and if that's happening to me, chances are it's happening to clients too.
Yeah, I have another. I have a client who is a divorce attorney, and he runs a really good newsletter as well. And it's kind of a thing. He will send out when was the first divorce filed in the U.S. Like, he runs a little contest, and somebody will always win a $25 gift card, whoever answers it right and first. Yeah. And it's funny because we all get it here at the office, and like, just between us, we're always like, who's going to get it in first, because somebody's going to win this gift card. And it's awesome because it's like stuff that you don't know. I mean, divorce, come on, how boring is that, right? But he'll find these really interesting little tidbit questions, and I love that. And he gets a ton of response on his newsletter as well. So it's
I think
important.
That's a great idea. You're asking for action.
Yeah, but it's not cheesy. It's just like unique, funny stuff that you can't really Google because you can't figure it out. So,
brilliant.
It's great. I love it.
So how often do you send out the quarterly, or is it a quarterly email with this newsletter?
It's monthly.
Monthly, okay.
Monthly newsletter.
That's good frequency.
Monthly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think any more than that, people will just, it's him again.
Right.
Swipe. I want it to be meaningful and not just irritating. We all have solicitations online from companies, and you hear from them every day, and it's maybe not as much in the real estate industry, but retailers, pounding you. If you've been on a website, they flood your inbox with, did you leave something in your box? Do you want to look at this again? It's just too much.
So I feel that, I feel like there is a lot that you can share with people. To me, it feels like you have really nailed down this kind of like work-life balance. I feel like you're super relaxed. You're always really chilled out. Like, I know you deal with clients who are super stressful, but like you just have like this very composed, kind, like I have never done a transaction with you where you got stressed out. Like I just don't think you get stressed out. So what is your secret sauce? Like, cause you're just so calm and cool and just gentle and kind with your clients and with everybody involved in the transaction. So how do you tell me a little bit more about your secret sauce to being sane in real estate?
Well, thank you. It's nice to, I guess, be perceived in that way. I love what I do, and I bring value to my clients, and I try to be empathetic and remember what it's like to buy my first or second home and how stressful it is, and in today's market, how extremely competitive it is.
And you are a buyer's agent in today's market.
It's quite challenging. It's quite challenging. I don't know. I just try to be empathetic. Usually if my clients get stressed, it's not me they're stressed at. It's the situation. It's the transaction. I do have a balance of live work. I mean, exercise and the gym and yoga and rowing are important parts of my life, and it keeps me stress-free. And, I'm at a point in my life where if I'm going to be a healthy 80-year-old, I've got to be a healthy 56-year-old. And so I take that seriously. And I love time with my partner, my dog, and travel and family in Nashville. So those are always going to be my top priorities. I sell real estate because I need an income, but I also enjoy it. And, I've told myself at some point it might be fun to taper off and maybe sell condos on the beach,
I like that. That's a good dream.
Just take it a little less intensely.
I love that. So as far as like, do you still, now that you've been doing it for so many years, do you still work on the weekends, or have you found a way to kind of create more like, hey, I see clients on my time schedule, or are you still kind of like super open as if, as some of the newer agents would be?
No, I have to be available when my clients are available. And I think for me, it wouldn't work to say I don't work Saturdays. That's when so many people with traditional business hours are available. So I don't mind that. Another change in the business is clients are so information savvy. They know the neighborhood, the street. They have access to all the consumer websites, not just mine. So they tell me the 5 houses they want to see, and then we write an offer on one. It's not like I'm showing 20 houses taking up all day Saturday and all day Sunday. So, and I'll tell a client, if they'll come with a list of 20 houses, I would say, okay, well, we're going to need to break that down into maybe 6 at a time. I don't mind spending a couple hours at a time, take advantage of our time together. But no, I don't mind working weekends. I don't mind working evenings. Typically Mondays and Tuesdays are a little slower for me. That's when I do paperwork, computer work, rest, make sure I'm going to the gym, doing other things.
And so what do you find in this market right now? I feel like we're all starting to write our offers differently than before. What are some of the techniques and things that you have figured out that work for you in this low inventory market?
Well, if a client is comfortable waiving as many contingencies as possible, including waiving the appraisal contingency, waiving financing, waiving or minimizing due diligence, or buying the home as is. All of those are strategies to differentiate yourself from the other offers. Now, all buyers are not able to waive appraisal. If I'm working right now with a young physician, a resident, he and his wife, and they're getting 100% finance with no PMI, which is a great program for doctors. And but they've only, by the time they pay closing costs, they said, Chip, we truly don't have any more money to roll the dice in hopes that the appraisal comes in. If it comes in $10,000 low, we're out of business. And a $10,000 offer over list price at $400,000 is not unreasonable in today's market. So it's really challenging. But we have that conversation on the front end about if, to make ourselves as marketable as possible, shorten the due diligence period. And that's where working with your mortgage partner comes into play, and make sure you have, if they can be pre-approved versus pre-qualified, that's helpful. And that lender can give us the okay to, let's waive financing. They're solid. There's no reason this won't close. I think writing a tight contract, I don't know how many times I've been on the receiving side of a contract. Like, there's so many holes in this contract. And if my party wanted out, I could get them out. So it's my job representing my clients to write a really tight contract that protects them and minimizes their risk.
On that point, like your $400,000 clients, that don't want to push the budget too much. I've got plenty of those too. And I tell them, listen, if you want a shot, we should be looking at $350,000 homes, and most 375, because if 400 is your top, there's no point in looking at homes over, even close.
You're going to just get frustrated. And,
I think we're still here in Atlanta. At least we're still talking about like, hey, we're going in 25 to 50 over asking. I think our friends in California are like, well, we have to go in 200 to 300 over asking. So we're still in a baby phase of this crazy escalating market.
Every real estate market is unique, and price point plays a role. I mean, under 500,000, it's extremely competitive, but Jasmine, I spoke to you last week about a new client looking at a $2.8 million home. It was on the market one day, and as we were leaving the showing, the listing agent said, oh, by the way, the seller has multiple offers. We'll be making a decision in 24 hours. 2.8. This is not
in Atlanta,
a $400,000 house. And it's just, so I would have said, as you go up in price, it's going to be less competitive. You're going to have fewer buyers, but those fewer buyers are as serious as anyone else. And when, and it was a great house, great location. So it's crazy all around.
Do you ever attract these buyers? I feel like they're not happening as much in this hot market, but buyers who are like, hey, I found the listings online. Like you said, I know all the neighborhoods. I know these 5 homes. Will you give me a kickback of your commission, or will you reduce your commission? Do you ever cross those type of clients that are sort of like, almost, I feel like they're not valuing you as an agent?
Yeah. I can't say that I have, Alan. I've not had anyone come to me with that situation.
Well, that's great. I don't know. I attract those kind of guys. I don't know why.
I know it's inevitable. I do have a story. I remember years ago, this has been probably 20 years ago, I get to the closing table, and my client, the buyer, turns to me and says, oh, by the way, I'd like for you to give my mother, who's a real estate agent in another state, a referral fee.
Oh.
And I said, okay, Chris, forgive me. Did we discuss this? I said, do we have anything in writing? And, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I thought, well, maybe I've just forgotten about it. I called my broker in the office, and there was no record of a referral. And I said, Chris, I'm sorry. I just don't have any record of referral. If you have something, of course, I'll honor it. And he said, I'm not going to close, because you're not going to give my mom the referral fee. And I said, Chris, I'm sorry to hear that. I cannot make you sign the paperwork. Do you want to go tell the other party that you've defaulted, or would you like me to? And I called him on it. He did close.
Yeah.
So, people, had he approached it differently at an earlier time, I would have certainly honored that. I'm delighted to pay referral checks, but not under those last minute circumstances.
Yeah. No,
I have a.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, you sort of are laid back and chill, and people tell me about that to me, and I think that sometimes attracts more of the frenzied buyer who needs a calming, partner in this process, and so sometimes there's sort of the frenziness attracts eccentric and maybe people who don't really understand how real estate works. But
well, and I think we kind of feed off of each other's energy. If I was high strung and nervous and excitable and just, I think that my clients would react too. I think they're looking for a real estate agent who is relatively calm and knowledgeable and logical and strategic in negotiating on their behalf. And of course, as real estate agents, we don't have the emotional connection to the properties that our buyers and sellers do. Right. So I do try to be empathetic and realize, this is not just their home of 30 years they're selling, but this is where they've raised their children. This is where they've, had family events, holidays. This is more than just a house to them. And I, try to be sensitive to that.
Yeah, and I think that the emotional piece of it is key. And I think that just like I was saying, like I think that your buyers and sellers also just kind of look for you to be that calm, cool. Like I have seen this 1,000 times before, right? Like as opposed to you also getting excited, like, oh my God, this deal is not going to close. And then like all of a sudden, like everybody's running around with a frenzy. I usually, with my clients, I'll usually tell them like, hey, I've got your mortgage. I've got you covered. You're not allowed to worry about our loan. You can worry about the color of your walls, what kitchen counters you need, what toaster you're going to buy. Worry about anything else, but don't worry about my loan. I've got this covered.
But don't buy a house full of furniture on credit.
Don't do that. But just keep it calm. Don't put any bad juju on my deals. So I think that just being the calm force in the transaction just goes a really long way, and that's probably why most of your buyers are also really chill. When they come to me, they're just like, everything's cool. Yeah. We know exactly what we're doing. Everything feels calm. Yeah. I love it. I love it. So what about, so when you are thinking back, like over your whole career, like what do you think are some of the things that you did that kind of made you, is there anything in your career that you feel like you did that has made you the super well-rounded, real estate agent that you are? Was there any point where you decided like, this is what I need to do. This is how I'm going to become a top producer?
To show up and care, treat each client with respect. I think it's easy to kind of get caught up in the transaction, and I always like to step back and how would I feel if I were put in this situation? Just keep on keeping on. Keep making those phone calls, keep sending those newsletters, keep texting and emailing, and it's just back to communication and staying in touch. I think that's what I've done consistently. I'm not the best person who has all these systems in place that executes, today this happens, tomorrow that. I'm not that organized, but and I think that's great. That's something I could work on for sure. But what's worked for me is just staying in touch and letting people know I care.
How did you, when you were first starting out, I'm sure it might be different now, attracting your first maybe 3 or 4 clients? Was it just sort of friends and family, or were you, how's it?
Right out of college, I got into textiles. I sold ladies' clothing to the department stores and specialty stores. And so I was traveling a 3-state territory and did that for about 7 years and loved it for a while, but the travel ultimately got to be much. I had bought my first home, but was never sleeping in my own bed. And so at one point I thought, what can I do where I can sleep in my own bed? And I've always been interested in real estate, design, sales, people. And I thought I think real estate might be a good fit for me. So and this was before the internet, so I went to Gwinnett Tech College to get my real estate license, and I worked a retail job to kind of pay the bills while I was in that transition. Um,
Yeah.
so,
So I want to kind of follow that up with, like, you have been in real estate for a really long time. You have seen all kinds of markets, right? You've seen markets that are crazy and markets that are really bad. So tell us a little bit about, like, what has been, what have you done when, just so that we can kind of learn from your experience, because 1994 is a really long time ago. You've probably seen like three crashes and 13 booms, and like, give us some words of wisdom around like the longevity and just staying in it and showing up, like you said.
Yeah. Well, when I got into business in 94, business was good. Interest rates were certainly higher, but it was all relative. We didn't know any better. 8% interest rate was okay.
Great.
People made it work. So I got in 94, and it only got stronger, and we'd have little dips. But then in 2007, 2008, I was president of the DeKalb Association of Realtors in 2007. And looking back, I was like, what was I, crazy? I mean, like, I needed one more responsibility when the market had crashed and
It was falling apart.
I mean, we had 2,000 members that we were all trying to lead and encourage and motivate, and I had to kind of recreate myself. My business was affected significantly, and so I went out and got secondary jobs. I had a wine tasting business for a while. I've worked retail. I've worked the restaurants as a server. You do what you have to do, but I never gave up on real estate. I just had to pull back a little while until the market stabilized and returned. And I would encourage anyone who is not able to support themselves completely from real estate is to find a hobby that can generate some income. I think we all need multiple streams of income. That would be my advice. Just because things are, maybe you're new and it's tough getting started, don't give up after 6 months.
I 100% support that. I feel like because it's being a real estate agent is 100% commission based. A lot of agents who don't have multiple streams of income or another source of income or other opportunities, I feel like it makes them bad agents because they're and it's natural, like, hey, I need to pay rent this month, or I need to feed my family this month. And then so you're almost pressuring your client to buy a house because you need it, right? Which is a completely different experience than, hey, take your time. If this is not the house for you, we got 3 more next weekend we can look at. And I think that builds trust as a real estate agent. And I'm a very big fan of having those multiple stream of incomes be real estate related because I'm in the business, right? And so I'm looking at homes every day. So maybe I see opportunities as a rental, or I help agents put up their signpost, or staging. Some agents get into staging or landscaping. Like you have these other sort of opportunities when when you're in the real estate market that I think really makes you a more balanced and better agent.
Yeah, and I think for some people, joining a team is a smart move. They can kind of have a mentor. I think it's a great way to get started for many, many people before they want to work independently.
Yeah. Or even if you're just getting your license, try to hang on to that day job for a little bit longer than maybe you should, just so you're comfortable. Because I've heard some advice is just jump in and you're going to make it work. And I think that does work for some people, but you might rub a few of the early clients the wrong way,
But I may not have answered your last question directly, but I just was, network with your friends and family. They're going to be your first clients. Yeah. And never give your business card away without taking someone's business card. And that way you can enter them into your database and continue to follow up with them. I always ask after we've had an email exchange, like, hey, by the way, who do you know that might be interested in buying and selling real estate? And no one's threatened by that. I'm not saying don't you want to buy a house from me? Don't you want to sell your home? Don't you want to buy an investment? I'm saying, who do you know? And your clients want to help you. They want to see you succeed. They just need to be told what to do, and they need to be reminded of it regularly.
Right.
Yeah, and it also kind of helps them. Sometimes I feel like clients maybe think that you're too busy, right? And they're like, oh, well, Alan or Chip, they don't need referrals. They've got so many clients. They just assume because you've been in business forever. But the reality is like every referral, come on.
Yeah,
I need a couple people from every cool person that I do a transaction with, hook me up. But sometimes you just have to say it.
And you never know what's going to turn into multiple pieces of business. I met a young man and his father at an open house years ago, and the house was more than he could afford, but I followed up with him. I liked him. He was a nice guy, and he ended up buying a house, this first time home buyer was buying a $300,000 little house. But what was great about that relationship was he referred me to 5 of his buddies, all who were in their late 20s buying their first home. And you couldn't ask for a more loyal group of buyers because it was that they trusted you. We had the connection through Mark, and so it turned into he's my best source of referral, not because it was $1 million referral, but because of the quantity of people and all these young people now that they're getting married and starting families who they're going to call me to list the house. They're going to call us to list and help them move up. So
I always relate this to sort of like when I was dating, which was a long time ago, but married now. But if you found someone, online, or like a client, a lead generation as a real estate agent online, it's a very cold opening, and maybe they don't show up for the appointment, or maybe they are rough to kind of pin down getting them pre-qualified. But if a friend introduces you on a date, or a friend introduces you to a real estate agent, you're already on 90% of closing that deal, whether it's dating or real estate agent related. Yeah.
It's instant credibility. It's instant credibility. Yeah.
Yeah. I always love the friend referrals or the past client referrals. They carry so much more weight than an internet, referral or something, just someone calling you off the sign kind of thing. But yeah.
Yeah. All about that database, keeping track of your people and also giving back. Which is why I think that the parties are so much fun, because I think that's kind of our way of just like saying thank you at least once a year, Yeah. And I'm always so surprised how many clients show up. I'm like, I didn't know you wanted to hang out with me, but cool. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I have really, really enjoyed, our time and getting to know you. I feel like it's just so wonderful to hear from a veteran that's been in it, that has the all the answers, the wizard. So I appreciate you sharing with us. It's been really nice to have you on our show.
Thank you, Chip. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jasmine Alan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I think everyone learned a lot. So you've been a calming force to me, knowing that you're a veteran. Like, hey, if things go up and down, just be chill like Chip.
Just stay.
Right.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And if our listeners want to reach out to you, what is the best way to find you online?
Sure. You can just email me directly at chip.ivie, Ivie, @compass.com.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chip. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chip.
Okay. Y'all be good. See you soon.
See you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Agent Upgrade Podcast. If you are an agent looking for a new mortgage lender, start with Jasmine at jasmineteam.com. If you want to learn about real estate investing and working with investors, check in with Alan at thehouseofac.com. See you next time on Agent Upgrade.